Do you want to tell everyone why it took so long?
My Mac is a bad man, and he needs sorting out by Lucentio and a baseball bat with a nail in it. Things will happen to it.
Oh, mate! It is an absolute comedy of errors. Absolute comedy of errors. Utterly unreal.
One thing after another. I mean, it full on tricked me into working at first. Like, it was coming on fine, and then as soon as it went on the link, it was like connecting. Oh, okay. We're just here, are we? We're just here now. We've plateaued.
It's great. I love it. Why not?
Why not? Why not? Indeed.
I mean, we've not done one this way for quite some time, but
almost nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only downside of this particular one is that because we're only going through the one platform now, all the people that are in the network will miss out. All the people that are on Facebook pages will miss out. All the people that are on Twitch will miss out. All the people that are on Twitter will miss out.
So we've sliced off a good portion of the audience.
Yeah,
that's fine. We'll make this into a film and send it to them.
Shit, as they say, happens. It happens. Yeah. Right? It happens.
Yeah. So live. It happens live.
Yeah, of course it does. Of course it does. Wave jumper number 3 jumped in. This is the first live stream I've joined here. They say, what should I expect? What should they expect, Adam? What do you think they should expect?
A lot of cock-ups on a Mac. Sometimes there's some stairs involved, usually above my head. They're not there today. Instead, it's the afterlife behind me today. And basically this, what we're doing now, but
I love it.
If they can stand for such nonsense.
I love it so much.
Then I dare them to stay with us.
Oh, it really cheers me up.
Will they stand for it? Who knows? Who knows? What do we do again? What?
It's one of those things, like, for me, when stuff goes just like it couldn't be
wrong.
Couldn't be any wronger. There are cock-ups aplenty. It just
Laurel and Hardy of the podcast world.
It makes me feel all warm inside when that happens. Yeah, I don't follow it. Yeah, with fun general banter sounds interesting. Well, absolutely. So the topic was the original post that I put out, but it's going to be obviously a new stream now at the minute, with none of the bells and whistles, none of them, none of the bells, none of the whistles.
They ain't here today. Not for us.
So we're going to be looking at flawed logic, the internet, and Nicola Bulley. Are you familiar with Nicola Bulley and the case of the missing woman?
I've been hearing the updates as they've been coming through on the old radio.
Yeah.
The old telecom.
So the reason that we're going to look at all of this kind of stuff together is because there's 10
kind of cock-up.
there's 10 kinds of flawed logic going on in amongst all of these internet sleuths getting involved.
Yeah.
Which is causing a right pain in the arse for the family, and there's never going to be any resolution brought from this side. Just so you know as well, because you can't see the comments now. Board says good evening to you.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening. What were you going to say?
Hope you're well. I was going to say this reminds me a lot of when we covered that documentary on Netflix about the woman who disappeared in the hotel. Very sort of disappearing and being found later on the rooftop. No one really knows what happens. Take away the viral video aspect of it away, and it's kind of like the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But of opinions getting involved. It seems odd, but at the same time, it's a very sort of cut and dry thing of how she possibly passed away.
Yeah.
And then there's all the theories that are sandwiched within that, where the internet comes into play.
Exactly. So I'm gonna come at this through a very indirect route. So, and just to qualify this before we do it, all kinds of messages laughing at me personally now for the kind of cock-ups that we've had. In case people weren't aware, we don't plan these podcast streams out. We get together and about 2 minutes before, one of us will go, I want to talk about this today. Cool. Let's see what happens with that. let's see where we go with it from there. Who knows, right? Who knows? Could be fun. Could be.
It's a spin of the bottle.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So I'm going to come at this through a very indirect means of exposing flawed logic. As well as I can. Anyway, okay. So with this is a playing card.
Yeah.
Right? This is, it's folded up, and so here's the way the spiel's going to go, in order to try and mess with your logic in this way.
Okay.
Right. I want you to create a card in your head out of the 52. But you're going to do it in a very specific way. These mentalists will always be like, I'm going to think of your card this, your card that, your card the other. What is your card? What does that even mean? Technically, if I'm the mentalist in the scenario, they're all mine. So you're merely renting one for a few seconds. Yeah. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is your card, and you're going to do it through creating it a bit at a time with a suit. First of all, you're going to pick a suit that's based on how you feel at this particular moment. Okay, I've looked at cartomancy. I've looked at the relation to the tarot. I've looked at some of the other psychological properties of it, and there are many kind of crossovers. But to do it on a more personal level is how it goes. We'll say clubs is if you feel like a sense of luck at the minute. Luck might be the stream going well. Thank God we've all got on. We're flying by the seat of our pants.
So wipe that one off, yeah. Get rid of that entirely.
It might be that. Hearts might be because you're tuning in from your phone because this speaks to a passion and an interest, or at least getting on to a commitment or whatever it is. That kind of feelings-based entity. Diamonds might be your relationship towards money and things and the kind of comfort that brings. And spades might be the mystery of when you're going to eat later, if it is that you haven't eaten already, or the mystery of what your Mac is going to decide to do the next time that you turn it on. Right?
Okay.
So of those suits, which one do you feel more connected to?
Can I say out loud, or am I just putting this in my head?
Just tell me.
Spades,
right?
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, spades. So here's what you do then. You attach a value to that. So you've now got a full card.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah.
Now with this, I took it from a very particular part in the deck, right? A very particular part. So I'm going to have you intuit the particular part as well as the card itself. So you're going to come up with a number to go alongside of it. So take the value for the card that you just thought of and double that value, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
Double it, which is fair, right? Because you've not said any of this out loud.
Nope.
There's been no double it again.
Double it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you gone past 52?
No.
Okay. Safety first, you never know.
I was just hoping you were going to say, and then double it again.
No.
Stop it.
So, what was the card you were thinking of, first of all?
Before the doubling, or now that it's doubled?
Like the original. Well, it can't be like the 54 of spades, can it? So what was what was the original value? Two of spades. he struggled with the maths on that one. So I mean, this is one card has been full view throughout.
Yeah.
Right. If this was the 2 of spades, that'd be a frigging miracle, right?
Yeah.
They're all here. They're all here.
God damn it.
So the value that you would have come up with on top of that would have been 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting. If you look at what the 8th card is.
What the fuck did it do? Fucking madness.
Right. And now here's what we do with that. I never prepped anything for you ahead of time. You didn't even know we were going to be doing this, right?
Yeah.
Well, how did I do it?
No. You didn't prep any of that, no.
How did I do it?
Trickery.
Right.
Blinding
in order
me with magic.
I simply waved my beard towards his face, and it was in a 2 of spadesy shape.
He also paid me. Oh, wait, no.
Dude, be cool. Shut up.
Chill, man.
So here's the thing. For you to get anywhere close to being able to come up with some kind of a method towards how that works. Hang on, Wave Jumper says, could I see the top row? Yeah, if you want.
You can see my top row any day.
So with that, for you to come up with some kind of a method, you have to perfectly replicate the same situation as before, perfectly, down to your mood, down to your position, which influenced the way you thought about certain things, your reaction to some of the words that I said, right? Did you make a utilitarian decision based upon, clubs and the joke about the Mac and technology? Did that lead you into thinking of spades in that way? There's no way for you to perfectly replicate the exact situation, even more so because you weren't involved with it from my side.
Yeah, very true.
Right? For all you know, I could have whatever 52 to the power of 52 is. I imagine that's a pretty big number.
Yeah.
Variations scattered around me, and I just picked up the right one at the right time.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
For all you know, that could be the case. Right? I didn't. What's the point of that? And like, to be fair, I'd be buried. I'd be buried in folded cards. That's
the rest of the podcast would literally just be the stereotypical. Is it your car? Is it your car? Is it your car?
We'll find it eventually. And that's the nature of a logical breakdown of a particular situation that you aren't like specifically involved in. For you to figure out precisely what happened, you need to be involved, and you can't be involved in both sides of this dynamic, no matter how you split it, even if I tell you how I nudged you into thinking of those particular things, right? Because there are your emotions to consider, first of all, right? They impede critical thinking to the nth degree. And we've discussed that from now until the cows come home before. So if you want to look back at our thoughts on the emotional qualities being antagonistic to clear reasoning, literally go back and watch any other podcast because it's probably involved in there as well. And you don't have the information that I have from this side, and you never will.
Yeah.
Right? You never will. That is the same scenario. That's the same scenario. Wildly different information, right? Wildly different. But now what you are left free to do is come up with a method, 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 until you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
Till you're blue in the face. The only person that's going to hurt is the people involved in it from my side, because you're stopping me from being able to do what I do.
Yeah.
Same situation. It's involved in that same situation, right? If you are one of these internet sleuths and you genuinely think you found something, which you won't have, but if you genuinely if you genuinely think that you do, send it in an email.
Yeah. Why? The reason why they sort of like, especially the case with what we're talking about here, it begs to ask, what's the reason for people to get on board publicly with their opinions on this kind of thing, doesn't it? Like, internet sleuthing is sort of, you know, there's an undertone of ego there, isn't there? Of, you know, the keyboard private detective. Are they doing this for the right reasons? Are they doing this because they believe wholeheartedly they know they have the truth? Or do they believe that what they have is just relevant and everybody needs to know it because they came up with it first and they want to get it on there before anybody else puts it on there and claim territory to it? I did such and such. I already predicted this, and I such as, and then a lot more into it. Yeah. And then goes back to what you said about emotions playing into this. That is a heavy emotional situation for if the case is you are doing it for those reasons and putting it on the internet to, you know, to boost your credibility as someone who can deduce these sort of things from, you know, on your keyboard without being there, without knowing the facts. You've just got it specifically because, you know, you've watched the news. I know how it was done. I know how it was done. I was, and such. Who are you helping? Why haven't you? If you know how it was done, like you say, immediately contact the fucking police. What are you doing still on the internet? For God's sake, if you have information that can help right now, get on the phone.
And like, look, I realize the irony or the kind of, what's the word I need? Hypocrisy, maybe, of us talking about this whole Nicola Bulley debacle while it's still going on. But like, there's a reason we never ever comment on these things. If it's an ongoing investigation that's personal to some people, until it's happened, like, and it's all done. Right?
I mean, we'll usually come back to it once it's all done and sorted. We never usually go into anything with our own sort of facts. We have the facts that have been laid before us. We don't go in with our own sort of, this has happened and this is what they're saying to happen. No, we're going with what has been put forward. Right. What is the say-so?
Right.
On it by the law.
Exactly. And that's not to say that anybody around the world can't get involved and try and help.
Yeah,
but if you are conflating that with your emotional opinion of what the husband did at this time or what the dog was doing, right, then you're not helping anybody, because you're not thinking about the information for the sake of information, right? You are impressing upon to it your own personal viewpoint in that particular way. So whenever we talk about this kind of material, if it's current, you know, or not, as is usually the case with the, you know, the kind of true crime element, we take great pains to say, look, we're coming to some kind of a conclusion, but it's only about this information because that's all we have. That's all we have. At this particular stage, we are the ignorant public. We are the ignorant public. Have you never seen a piece of media from the policeman's perspective, what they choose to keep out of the media and choose to put into the media by way of helping to control the flow of information and the way that it impacts the family and the way that it impacts the general populace. That's not a conspiratorial kind of approach. Information has an influence over people in the way that it's perceived. Look at anybody who speaks out against pronouns. You're publicly decried in the whole fucking way that you are, regardless of how legitimate or illegitimate your opinion might be. Buzzword, opinion. So people take control of that in a way that they feel that they should, you know?
Absolutely. I think it's a case of, like, obviously people getting involved in this kind of thing with experience from other things as well. Like when people have commented on this case in particular, a lot of people have sort of said stuff along the lines of, it's not necessarily anything that to do with the case or what they know or what they've heard of what the police said or what they've heard the family say, but from their own experiences and applying those to the situation without any of the other actual facts that have come forth, like the stuff with the Nicola Bulley's husband. A lot of people were saying, or husband or partner, a lot of them are saying, like, oh, I had an ex just like that. They were such and such. I know what it is. He's doing the same thing. You can't say you haven't got a carbon copy of your ex sat there. Apart from this time round, they have supposedly done something to their other half, and you know it because, you know, the other carbon copy you were once in a relationship with, and so it must be true. No, they're not Lego figures. They just swap personalities on someone.
Thank you for saying that. Completely unbribed, by the way, for anyone listening. Completely unbribed. But that's the same thing I've been saying, and scientists have been saying for God knows how long as well. Humans don't behave the way that equations do.
Yeah,
we're not. There'd be no behavior to read and understand that way around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like if you come across a book or a YouTube channel or I don't know, a podcast that's been
with two guys,
whatever, right, that says I saw this, therefore it categorically means this, they are delusional, dishonest, or both.
Yeah.
Right?
100%,
Or both.
100% agree.
So
yeah.
Here's another example, right? I'm gonna try and quickly pop a photo on the screen. Just
popping one.
I'm saying try because given the way that we've gone this evening, it's not really standing us in good stead.
Everything may explode.
Yeah. So here we go. And if the photo pops up, dude, all I want you to do is to just have a look at it. React however you react to it.
Cool.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So agreed.
What was
agreed.
That?
Right. Agreed. So here's the kind of scenario played out. You're walking along the beach by yourself or Becky, whatever. But in this hypothetical, you're walking along the beach.
Yeah.
And you see that. Just so you know, that was the same thing. The photo was split in half from two different angles. It was the same thing.
Right.
So it wasn't two separate things. And you see that maybe 20 meters in front of you.
Yeah.
Right. What are your first thoughts?
Dead bodies washed up.
Right. So what do you do in that situation?
Let
me qualify the question a little bit further, because for everyone that's listening, right? I realize again, we can't replicate these scenarios because we weren't there. This is what we're saying, so we're just using our kind of imaginative capacities. So you walk up, holy shit, there's a dead body. What do you do?
Make sure it's a dead body first before I go running and screaming for help or calling for anyone, trying to get something before you sort of go off and, I'll make sure it's going to stay there as well, I suppose. it's one of them things where it's just sort of. I suppose it would take you back. I suppose going up to it, you'd just be like, you can't say what you do at the moment, would you?
No, you absolutely couldn't. You absolutely couldn't. But your first decision there was what, and the article only estimates this number, what an estimated between 35 and 40 people didn't do first.
Bloody hell.
Their first reaction was to run like screaming away in the other direction, causing panic to everywhere else.
Yeah.
Right? Which might seem on the surface a prudent and evolutionary thing to do. Holy shit, there's a dead body. I'm running in the opposite direction. You made the choice there to react as rationally as you possibly could. Make sure that was specific. It wasn't curiosity. It wasn't, I'm going to satisfy my need to be holding a magnifying glass and play Sherlock Holmes. I'm going to make sure that it's a dead body first before I do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
You want clarity, don't you, before you say something like that?
Before you affect everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That was a sex doll that washed up on the ocean floor.
And to also check if I could have it.
I'm gonna.
Well, it's gonna be my second part of the "what do I do" scenario.
I think I had the article around here somewhere. I think I sent it.
God, it might literally have crabs in it.
I didn't. It might. It might literally have crabs in it.
Say that joke to the police, and then you find out, oh, it is a dead body. And it still does have crabs in it.
I'm hoping this sound effect plays through from my side, but I don't know if you heard that. Oh, that was fair enough then. That was pushing the sound effects thing a little too far, but I played a sound effect cue. Maybe if I one sec. No, I can't be, but it's not. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
It's not doing it, man.
It's. I mean, there's no point. It literally adds nothing to what we're saying.
Yeah.
It literally adds nothing. So same thing again. Hello.
Oh.
I'm just don't. I'm rolling with it now. I'm rolling with it. Right. Here's another photo. When it wants to load, scrolling through my stock to see where it's gone. Of course it's gone. I wouldn't have gone. Oh, of course. Lovely.
I can take a photo of the body in my bin.
Well, from me to you, I'd rather if you didn't do that. That would be swell and a real treat for me if you didn't do that.
I need an alibi. It works for me if you do.
So I will just describe it. People, I mean, you can Google this to your heart's content. There was a photo a number of years ago that went viral. It was of Prince William.
Yeah,
and it was at this kind of angle. Let me get it. So it was at this kind of angle, paparazzi on both sides, hordes of crowds and people, and he's getting out of the car, and you can see this. Oh,
from him,
from Prince William as he's getting out of the car. That's what you can see. So people are like,
go on, Will.
What? Prince William? No. The internet goes wild. Internet goes wild for about an hour.
Of course.
People comment like, is it not the middle finger? Is it what, like? So let me try and get the angle again. Oh, there. And people are like, no, because you can see the first knuckle down. You can see the first. I mean, obviously it wasn't my Voltron ring as well, so you wouldn't be able to see that. But like, no, you can see the first knuckles down, when in actual fact, another angle of the same position came out maybe an hour or so later. He was doing that.
showing a ring or doing?
No,
three?
he was asking for three of something. But
Three of something.
He was asking for three of
Yeah.
something like that.
And of course,
Perspectives,
it destroyed the internet.
Perspectives, additional information, clarity. Dig a little deeper. Let's stop jumping to conclusions. This is the very definition of emotional qualities being antagonistic to clear reasoning.
Yeah, 100%. You get these boneheads.
Oh my God!
I want to give them the old.
So
well, that's pretty wrong.
Yeah, you want to. So. I mean, because it's things like this that irritate me. Oh, the articles there. I think it was a sister, as I'm scrolling through the article now. Where is it? No, not a sister. One of Nicola's friends addressed disgusting comments that were made about Nicola's partner and the kind of pain and hurt that internet people are causing. So she had to come forth. She wasn't had to is probably the wrong word. She wasn't asked to. She felt compelled to.
Yeah.
To try and stop people going. To try and stop people going bananas. To come forward with these 11 points. Paul and Nicola both mostly work from home, which is why he was at home that day. They have CCTV, and there is a reason why Paul has never been a suspect. Family and friends need these accusations to stop immediately. The fact I've had to write this is disgusting, to be honest. True.
Yeah.
And that first one should illuminate everyone to the fact that you are, and I'm saying internet people when I mean you, like the royal we, but like on a gigantic scale. You are operating with information you don't have.
Yeah,
she said She said there is a reason why Paul has never been a suspect. She didn't say what the reason was. She just said there is a reason why Paul has never been a suspect.
She doesn't need to.
Right. That should be job one.
Yeah.
That should be job one.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of business. What kind of business? None yet. None your business.
It's cool. Again, going back to just to direct.
No, do it.
The Netflix documentary we watched about the hotel and the Elisa Lam disappearance. Who was that bloke that the internet suspected? He was like a rocker doing a music video.
Yeah, he was. I forget his name, but it was like some death metal guy.
Yeah, and all he did was be there on a certain date and film something in his hotel room, saying he just arrived to hopefully shoot his music video in the morning. And from that, the internet absolutely took his life down, destroyed his passion for music, everything, simply because of the way he looked, what he did, not because he had any connection whatsoever, but because they'd seen him, made a perception, and then basically just decided it was him.
It's ridiculous.
Very similar with the interview with Nicola's husband, all the things that were part of his life already, the way he looked, the way he reacted, and immediately he was number one suspect for the public.
Fired. And don't get me wrong, right? If you look at the criminology stats, the stats would say that in situations where there is harm or potential harm brought against one part of the relationship, it's normally the other person.
Yeah.
Regardless of sex, gender, or anything else. If there are two people in the relationship, one person's hurt, normally the other person.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Does that mean that it categorically is? No. That's why there are investigations.
Yeah. It's why we have a system for seeking these things out. It's why it's on the news, because they are dealing with it. They are, obviously bringing to light evidence, actual evidence of whether or not he did have any involvement. And if he did, do you not think that would have come to light by now by the people who are with him, around him, actually witnessing his acts and actions and what he says there and then, as opposed to people who've seen what is actually just a cut down version of footage filmed by those people before it's been given to the media outlets.
Yeah.
And then given to the public. You're looking at third-party content, essentially.
It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. So, like, I've pulled this up from this side, which is a timeline of events that have been as close to confirmed as they can be. Right.
Okay.
So, where are we? 10th of January. A response car staffed by both police and health professionals attended a report of concern for welfare at Miss Bulley's home address. No one was arrested in relation to the incident, which the force said was a result of her alcohol issues. Very important. Very important. 27th, day of the disappearance. 8:43. Nicola walked along the path by the river Wyre. I don't know how the river's pronounced. I've only ever seen it written down. It's spelled W-Y-R-E. Make of that what you will. She walked along the path by the river, having dropped the kids off at school. 8:50, approximately, it says. A dog walker, somebody who knows Nicola, saw her walking around the lower field with her dog. Their two dogs interacted briefly before the witness left the field via the river path. 8:53, approximately, she sent an email to her boss. 9:01, she logged into a Microsoft Teams call, and then it continues 9:01 approximately. A witness, somebody who knows Nicola, saw her on the upper field walking Willow, who I presume is the dog. This is being corroborated by the police. 9:20, approximately. The mobile phone is linked to the area of a bench by the river. 9:30, the Teams call ended, but Nicola stayed logged on. 9:33, a local dog walker finds Willow running around off her lead. 9:35, approximately, Nicola's phone facing upwards and Willow were found at the bench by another dog walker. Willow's harness and lead were halfway between the bench and the river. 10:50, Nicola's family and the schools attended by her children were notified of her disappearance. 11 a.m., Nicola's reported missing. And then on the 28th, it goes on into the full scale of the search at that particular stage, right? So all we, as the ignorant internet public at this particular stage, all we can do, should you be of the inclination to do so, is look at the time from 8:43 to, where are we? 9:35. That's it. That's the actions that you've got. That's the actions that you've got, right?
And that is all we've got. Actions. It's not what's going on in her head. It's not where she's at in her life or anything like that. It's purely physical whereabouts.
Exactly. And like, take something as speculative as you looking down at your phone at the minute, right? Yeah. People might look at you and think, well, you're wearing a snooty or oodie or uggy or whatever the it's called. I don't know. There's so many different ones.
It's called heaven.
It's called a heaven hug. It's like being swaddled in an angel cloud. So people might look at you and see you leaning down and intimate some kind of comfort because you're wearing this big thing, you're in your own home and whatnot, you're leaning forward, therefore you've got to be physically active and comfortable and all that thing. Boom, right? However, if we explore that as a spectrum, there is a shitload of variation between that and the other side, which could be you're wearing the UD because you feel sick, you've had a day off work, and you've spent the day in your pajamas because you didn't feel very well, and you're currently sat facing forward because your lower back hurts and it's the comfiest place for you to do. Just as logical based on the presentation of the information that we have at this particular stage, which, if you look at them as polar opposites, couldn't be any more opposite to the other side. And when all we have from this is the exploration of the podcast and your movements and your engagements, yada, 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 to try and figure out which one of those it might be. If people want to...
Exactly, then people can look at that and assume that, at some point I might reveal that I'm squeezing one out on the the laminate flooring, and just in a crouched squatting position throughout this entire thing. It gets me going. You know, it floats my boat.
It's a very distinct possibility because it's happened once before. There was this whole incident. We'd rather not get into it. It's
not again.
No, it's known as the coil debacle of 2021. we don't get in. We don't play that. We don't play that.
Started in Wuhan market. Oh God!
Being dragged off to a concentration camp somewhere. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. So what you could do at this is you could treat this like a rational thinking exercise, a critical thinking puzzle.
Yeah.
A critical thinking puzzle, because you, again, ignorant public, you, the other side of the internet, have no connection, no relevance, no worth, no nothing, no involvement until somebody calls you up and says, thank you for sending me a personal and private email link to some of your thoughts that you found. I'd like to talk further. Until that moment, you don't matter.
Okay, imagine, right? You know, Joe Bloggs is sat at home. He has his thoughts and opinions, writes them up on the internet whilst watching what's going on, thinking, you know, if I was there, I'd have solved this by now. I clearly get what's going on. And suddenly on the news, like, we're just going to stop the investigation because we just want to know what Gareth's thoughts are. Apparently,
it's like that. It's like that Lee Evans joke. It's that Lee Evans joke when he's at the football, and the guys go, "No, tap it, go round him. God, I should have gone round him." And the manager goes, "No, everyone be quiet, just you." Right? That's the thing. And again, I get the kind of other side of the coin that we are on the internet talking about this. All we're saying, listen to us, don't listen to us. Personally, couldn't care less if you do. I mean, if you do, welcome to the fold. Welcome to the family. Happy to have you. If you're in the family, disagree with us all you want. This is how healthy debates happen. But you can't refute the fact that if you're whinging about this on, I don't know, TikTok or some other platform about how you're so smart and the police are doing things that you think they shouldn't do, that's entirely the wrong dynamic in that scenario. So you're free to look at this and think, well, walked along the path by the river were having dropped her children off at school. So if she's been seen walking along the river were, how was she walking? If she's got a history of alcohol problems, right? Was she dressed for the weather at that particular stage, right? Was she going onto her phone at that particular stage? Was it even a factor? Was she just walking? All legitimate concerns that you can think about to try and get some kind of understanding of what her motivations might have been as she's going down that particular trail. A dog walker, somebody who knows Nicholas, or walking around the lower field with her dog. Brilliant. So from 8:43 to 8:50, there's now a dog on the scene. Was the dog with her at the 8:43 sighting when she was just seen after dropping her kids off at school? Because at 8:50, don't you dare blame the dog. Never the dog.
It was Gareth.
Gareth. Wasn't that your nickname that Ryan started calling you for a while? The Mentalist blogger that we had on a while back. Wasn't it Gareth?
Was it? Yeah, it was Gareth.
Yeah, I think it was Gareth.
Gareth under the stairs.
And here's the thing, right? 8:53, she sent an email to her boss. You could think, well, I'll compare previous emails that she sent to her boss before, or to other people, to check style, content, typeface, type form. This particular, we spoke about this element when we looked at the Gabby Petito incident and the text messages that were sent after the after the incident. Right, there's different talking styles. There'd be no way for one to copy and replicate a similar mood unless it was done by the same person, right? This way around. She logged into a Teams call. Was she on a Teams call on camera? Was she on a team call with her camera off, right? These are all critical thinking exercises that you can explore to think, okay, if I were there, here's how I would do this. And if this information came back, here's what kind of direction it might point me in moving forwards.
Yeah.
That's all you can speculate on.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And if any of that information points to a particular person or points to a particular implication of a person, you are free, as is the nature of information, to speculate upon that.
Yeah, 100%. It goes down to, like, you know, that little scenario you came up with in a couple of podcasts a while ago, where it was the why situation. Why? So, like you say now, that's all we know. That's all we can work with. But if you're on the internet and you're adding scenarios in there, you're effectively adding characters to this scenario or situations or other things. So then you have to come back to the, okay, why? Why are you doing that? Why are you adding that person there? Why is that relevant? And if you have a relevant reason, okay, but why is it relevant? And why is it a relevant reason enough for it to feel that it plays a certain part in this? And then you keep going further down the line, and eventually you're either going to have concrete evidence to have put that together, or you're going to meet something that is of your own making. It's come from a place within you, not a place within the actual situation that's happening there with that family and those people. That's come from you. That's you injecting or projecting upon this case. It's all you can do past the actual things, you know.
And the thing is, when you're injecting information, because you're doing that with emotion and trying to reason your way through that, you're not going to be aware that that's what you're doing, right? Very true. In the same way that the people that you mentioned, the people that you mentioned that were saying, "Oh, I had an ex that did the same thing," right? So this is what they were like.
And that they must, that other person, because they look like it or they pulled the same face, they're them as well. They know because it happened, and I've seen that. I mean, I suppose in a way it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because in terms of experience, you can say sometimes you learn from experience, but it depends what you're doing from that experience, where that experience is coming from, how you're using it logically or using it emotionally on top of that situation. And but the worst thing about this is, like you say, people don't know what they're doing and they don't know how much of an impact they're making. And sleuths, unfortunately, do have a certain sense of power once they are gathered together. And unfortunately, once a flame is lit, it spreads quickly in those kind of circles. And that's forces people like Nicola's friends shouldn't have to write defensive statements in regard. They shouldn't have to put their point across to the people like they're already in court. We're not the jury.
No.
We haven't brought a defense, so we haven't brought evidence.
If we were the jury, we'd have more information than we had now.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's just weird how, like, sometimes you hear about these people coming up with their own theories because they're angry because their demands haven't been met to be given more information themselves. But who are they to have that information yet? At the core of it, it's a family that has just suffered an incredible loss in a very horrible way.
It's a mother.
Like,
for God's sake, it's a mother.
What's Joe Bloggs? What's his right to have access to all of the, I know what's going on, or they should say what's going on if they know more. Who the fuck says you? Like, why should they say that? They may have the answer. They may have figured out what happened. It doesn't necessarily have to be released to the public. It probably will be eventually, but right now, it doesn't mean, right, they haven't said this, so it must mean that, because they haven't said that. It's just it just doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. And I saw a particularly hilarious kind of demonstration of flawed emotional logic, and all religious people aren't like this as well. You can have a good discussion with people who are open to looking at their beliefs, or indeed, somebody who's agnostic and having that kind of too. Anyway, but it looked like a talk show in terms of this reel that I saw. It was like it was advertised as some kind of atheist discussion.
Okay.
And the chat is around being sent to hell and being sent to heaven, right? And so one of the atheists sat back and was like, so if I went to my wife, who I love very much, and set her on fire, and the religious guy on the other end of the phone went, well, that must mean you didn't love her in the first place, with that kind of conviction. And the guy went, right, that's the same thing that God's doing. And all his reply was, no.
Oh God. Oh, for love of fuck.
Like,
no, what do you mean?
And you're like,
sorry.
It's like one of those moments where you have to take a step back because you've realized that something immensely stupid's just happened. You're like, oh, yeah. I get it. You're a fucking idiot. I see it. Yeah, I get it. And look, that's not to discourage anyone from having your beliefs. You believe in God, you believe in Zeus, you believe in Thor. You do you, crack on. Yeah. But if you want to have a chat about it, have a chat about it with someone who's gonna try and expose some kind of genuine curiosity. And those kind of debates that are based on your emotional investment, no one's looking to try and change anyone's mind. People are just looking to try and have a chat. The same thing is happening here. Like, people are, I imagine that the kind of dialogue is this way. This is a bias of mine rearing its head now, and I am aware of that. However, here it is. It seems to be that there are a number of people who invest in the fact that, well, I've got 800 trillion followers on this account, therefore I must be right. No. That
doesn't mean a goddamn thing. It just means you're shouting loud.
How many followers does Kim Kardashian have?
My queen. On which all factual foundation is based on.
It baffles me. So I was sent this article from a friend of mine, who was actually the very first interview of the podcast returning. It was with Bob and Jim. They were both Elite security pros with decades in the industry behind them collectively. And Bob sent me this article on LinkedIn. It's from a company called the Center for Research and Evidence on Security Threats, crestresearch.ac.uk. If you're interested, or if the inclination to do so, highly recommend you get in touch with all of the information they care to release. And there is a study that they carried out themselves that looks at the distance between an interviewer and an interviewee in terms of the information that's shared. However much the interviewer has experience in scientific, investigative interviewing techniques, and however much the instant rapport is developed and the active listening and the targeted questions, blah, 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 and you're still getting no's when you believe it to be true, right? It leads to the interviewer getting frustrated, and their questioning changes, it harms the interview, this way around. So there's this particular tactic that came out of that. It's known as proximity-based evidence disclosure. Proximity-based evidence disclosure. And it was developed as a way to substantiate the reliability of the available evidence by gradually exploring the suspect's proximity to the main scene. Interviewers should encourage plausible explanations by exploring potential links between a subject and each item of evidence, systematically transitioning from disclosing one item of evidence to another. Right? So essentially, agreed, right? So if you've got the 847 of Miss Bulley being seen, 8:43, excuse me, 8:50. She's then seen with the dog, and then the next one, and then the next one. There is more than one possible cause and effect between each of these kinds of things. More than one.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone knows that she logged on to a Teams meeting. Right.
Yeah, that's
cool.
out there. Yeah.
Was she even supposed to be part of the Teams meeting? What was the Teams meeting about? Was it to do with her role? Was it to do with her team? Was it to do with her tasks? Or was she just logging on? There's one possible thing right away that we have no idea about.
Yeah. But the key thing is you were putting what in with it. And a number of what was reason, while others have been putting it is.
Exactly.
Who does that?
Exactly. So that way you get, don't get me wrong, your cognitive load that you have to bear 10 times heavier. Right. And if you look at cognitive load theory, there's a lot to be said about your cognitive capacity in terms of problem solving. But, like lifting weights, the more you lift the weight, the more you're capable of lifting at the end of it. Same thing in that sense. So what you're doing is you're having more options between A and B. If you clear, like, I don't know, I'm plucking a number out of the air. If you say, I don't know, 7 options for A to have caused B. You look at 1 in depth, you can irrefutably say it wasn't 1, irrefutably say it wasn't 2, could have been 3, wasn't 4, could have been 5, wasn't 6, wasn't 7. Already, those 2 options that you have left are so much more, very important word, likely as a result, right? So you're moving forward in terms of this particular practice. Highly recommend that people look up Crest research. It's some detailed and open stuff. If you go any further, there's a chap who his name's Vincent Deneau. Is French, so I'm presuming that's how his second name is pronounced. Denault, who's tackled head on the breakdown of pseudoscience that is published on the internet, in terms of tackling the legitimacy of the details behind it. Is like a one-man warrior, and he and a couple of other people who I don't know the names of the other people behind the scene, but I know there are a couple of other people behind the scenes because I've been involved in the lectures. The Deception Research Society that exists online. Deception detection is obviously a big buzzword. A lot of, oh God, I'm going to learn deception detection. Expectations meet reality, darling. This way around. So that's what we're going to look at for the evening. We've already taken up much more of your time than we're intending on doing so. I apologize for our tardiness. To those asking about omniscient insights, in terms of what I posted on YouTube, I'll tell you more about that next week.
In the next one. Oh, is that your big, what you're showing? I won't say what I've seen. I won't say what I've seen. I won't say what I've seen.
You can't show anyone those pictures, mate. I'll tell you, that was just between us two. Right?
The right amount of money. Man's got to
eat. Right, guys. I encourage you to explore information rationally, and with that in mind, we'll love you and leave you. And we will. No, just this question's coming right at the buzzer. Ocarina of Society Part 2. Why does Adam have the light of God behind him?
Finally, she accepts me for what I am. A deity within my own no. Don't look at that bookshelf over there.
No, that's the stairway to heaven. That's what that is. The stairway to heaven behind him. That was a guitar. That he wasn't strangling a cat at all. Then that was a guitar. I saw it. So with that, my guys,
Thank you. Bye.